I am being so topical and relevant right now. Like, this film came out over a year ago. I went to see this on Valentine's Day last year. Yes, with a lady. Hello there, I'm Simon. Welcome to my channel. Today's topic is not a review of a movie, because the last one did so well. This time I'm talking about what is at the moment my all-time favorite movie. It's a little more historical than the last film I reviewed, which probably surprises exactly no one. This is a film called 1917, and it takes place, surprisingly, in 1917. This is not a film that will make you happy. I'm just gonna say that right off the bat. I mean, it's a movie about the Great War. You cannot expect it to be a very happy movie. But it is a good movie. Not because the plot is good. The plot is papered in. So, the plot is about two soldiers. Two lance-corporals, in fact. Whatever that is. No offense to any of you lance-corporals watching this. I just don't know nearly enough about the army to actually know what that is. Anyway, Lance Corporals Blake and Schofield are selected by their general, Mr. Darcy, General Erinmore, to deliver a message to Colonel Mackenzie. And yes, I'm pronouncing it Colonel, because that's how it's bleeping spelled. If they wanted it pronounced Colonel, they should have bleeping spelled it Colonel. There's probably a good reason things are that way. I do not care. Spelling in English makes so little sense, they turned it into a competition. And no, you cannot change my mind on this. Sorry, got a bit off track there. Anyway, they are sent to deliver an order to Mackenzie because he's about to attack the Germans, not knowing that it's a trap, which due to aerial photography, Erinmore does know. And as it happens, Blake, one of our corporals here, has a brother with the 2nd Devons, the troop that's about to be sent into said trap. And the movie is literally their journey to Mackenzie. And spoiler alert, in the end they make it. Well, one of them does. The other one dies. I mean, it's a movie about the Great War. People are gonna end up dead. So that's the plot. It's not very complicated. In fact, it's the most straightforward plot I've seen in a while. And when I talk about this film with people, that is usually their main point of criticism. And it is a valid criticism. I mean, is it too much to ask for a good, interesting story with some intrigue and a grand villain? Perhaps, if necessary, even a love interest? Well, actually, I think this film has all the plot it needs. Because it's one thing to tell a good story. It's a whole other thing to tell an experience. And that, I feel, is what this movie is really about. It's not about the plot. The plot is just one of 1,000 similar errands. Colonel Sherlock Holmes, Mackenzie, literally says it. I have heard it all before. I'm not gonna wait until dusk or for fog. I'm not calling back my men only to send them out there again tomorrow. This has happened before, and it will happen again. The mission isn't special in the grand scheme of things, but it does provide a great background, or rather a great skeleton to put a background onto. Does that make sense? A story like this provides opportunities to show what the Great War was actually like, not just in the front line, but also in no man's land, occupied territory, and during an actual assault. This movie is not great at telling a bigger narrative, the chronicle as we call it in writer's terms, but it is amazing at bringing to life the experience of a soldier in the Great War, the biography as we call it, which is frankly not a very nice experience. In fact, it's downright terrifying. But it does bring history to life. And that, in its own way, does give that little boost of serotonin. To me anyway. This film is not about those two lance corporals or the journey they go on. It's more about the landscape they travel through. and that landscape is amazing. The attention to detail is very impressive. Now I should preface this bit by saying that I am in no way an expert of early 20th century warfare techniques or anything that would be relevant in judging the historical accuracy of a movie with the pedantry you would expect from a nerd. But I have seen pictures, and even moving pictures, I believe those are called videos, of what the Great War was like. And this film recreates that to a T, whatever that means. No Man's Land looks exactly like what No Man's Land would have looked like. Same thing with the trenches and the dugouts. The details they put in to make it, well, not necessarily come alive, but to give it a history, like it used to be alive, are astounding. Like in the German dugout, there's at least 2 soldiers that I've seen who left a memento of the girl they loved, which actually makes me think that at least one of them must have died in battle before they left, or he would have taken a photo with him. And in Ekust, there is a poster for, I think it's a circus, on one of the walls. Because of course there's a poster on that wall. It's a city where people live, so of course there's gonna be posters for circuses. What do you expect? They didn't have to do this, but they did it anyway. And it makes the whole thing feel so very real to me. But that is not the most impressive or the most remarkable thing about this film. That title goes to the way it is filmed. If you've seen the film, you probably already know what I mean. So if you don't know, this entire film is one single shot. At least it looks like that. It's not actually one single shot. They use some very clever editing and camera work I don't fully understand to patch it all together in a way that makes it look like it's all one shot. But it would have been so easy to film the exact same script, except with multiple cameras, static shots, and a lot of cuts. But they went the extra mile and made it a single shot film, at least a pseudo single shot, which is equally impressive, if not more. That makes it a lot more personal, because you're following pretty much every second of the journey, making it almost as if you're there with them. It makes a viewer part of the experience. It also really helps to feel the passing of time, which is important, because there is a serious pressure of time here. They want to get there before dawn, because that's when they are to attack, and that's what they want to prevent. So that gives a very clear and a very urgent time limit, meaning every second is of the essence, making the whole film so much more thrilling. And that would be the case anyway, but if you see the journey through cuts, like a regular film, that passing of time, which is so essential, is a lot less tangible than when you see the passing of literally every second. Now, despite all that amazingness, there's a couple of things that happen that are just a little too convenient to be entirely realistic. I probably should have fit this in with a bit about the plot, but I didn't want to ruin the flow I had going on. Anyway, there's a couple of things that are ridiculously convenient for the plot. Most notably is the milk. He comes across a lady with a baby who needs to drink milk, and he just so happens to have milk on him because they came across a fresh bucket of milk at the farm earlier. But what you may not realize is that they set this up pretty much from the beginning, because why did he need to fill his flask anyway? Because it was empty, of course. Why was it empty? Because he used it all to clean out his eyes. But why did he have to clean out his eyes in the first place? Because he got buried under a whole lot of rubble. And why did he get buried? Because of a tripwire going off. And why did that tripwire go off? Because of a rat. It's all one long chain reaction. Yes, it turns out to be very convenient, but with how long that chain of events is, I actually think that's pretty good writing. I would even consider the death of his friend to be a similar convenience to the story, even though it's literally a guy dying. It's not very convenient. But it is set up by them saving a German pilot, which is set up by a dogfight they witness, which in turn is set up by the boys spotting planes flying, which is again set up by them spotting the planes the first time, which not only sets up the planes, but also sets up the enemy's planes. And their planes are actually set up by Erinmore, saying they got intel from aerial photography. And of course, going back to this bloke's death itself, that changes the way things go completely, because it delays the journey, making him meet the guys in the cars, leading him to getting off at the bridge, which is why he gets shot, waking up in the middle of the night, leading into the city, which is why the milk things happens. It also removes a factor and makes this dynamic duo into a solo act, which is also set up by Erinmore quoting Kipling when he says, "He who travels fastest travels alone," something like that. Which is why things happen the way they happen. It's all connected. That's good writing. Now, I'm not sure how much of this is true. The credits do say that this was based on the stories of Mendes' grandfather, Alfred Mendes, but since neither of the main characters are called Mendes, I'm assuming those are at least fictional, or at least dramatized. But it does seem to be at least based on the stories he told, meaning that if not exactly this, something very much like this most likely happened for real in the Great War. So 1917 may not be 100% historically accurate to the exact events, but it's probably very accurate to the experience of the war. And that's why it's my favorite. That said, it's time to rate this film. Now, with all those conveniences and a very straightforward plot, I thought I couldn't possibly give it any more than 8 out of 10. But as I've just pointed out, as convenient as that is, it's also really good writing. So I honestly feel like I would be remiss if I didn't at least give it a 9 out of 10. And the only reason I'm not giving it a 10 is because people experience those points as negative. And as much as I think that is good writing, it doesn't negate the fact that it comes across as if it's not. So I think a 9 is a very fair score. That said, time for the YouTube thing. You know the drill, peeps. Let me know down below what you think of this film, or what other things you want me to review by leaving a comment. If you liked the video, please click that like button. That makes sense. If you like nerdiness, go check out my channel, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And don't forget to ring that bell when you do. And share the video all over the place. Pretty please? Oh, and you can find my socials below. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.